So a book came out about a year and a half ago called The Kill Chain. What's the author's name?
It was McCain's.
He was McCain's advisor. This guy was basically working with McCain. And McCain was on all the committees. He basically was pretty looped into the defense industry. It spelled out everything that was super obvious to anybody who's worked in the Defense Department, or really any big organization, but especially Defense Department. Well, except it also kind of, how would you say it? It kind of underscored the fact that we have to actually act now. Because, basically, other countries, we've been stuck in, Afghanistan, Iraq, and we've basically been fighting, these wars that whether they're winnable or not isn't even worth discussing. But basically, our casualties, were not like in Vietnam. So we got pretty good at fighting those kinds of wars. But the thing is, while we're doing that, other countries with their own kind of, who spend a lot of money, like China, Russia, Iran, actually, they have been developing things that are basically, developed to basically be an answer to all the technologies we have. They just they made all their missiles just be a bit more effective. They just matched us cheaper and stepped up a little bit. But also, they're the drone industry is a great example. All the drones that are good are Chinese.
Yeah,
there we go. There's one right there. It's a great drone, but it's not made in the USA.
Yeah, and there's very few. And then even when they do, if they're there's a few Skydio. I've talked about that. That's I think that was somebody who worked at Google or somebody that started that, and they seem like they have really impressive drones. They're probably even better than, but I think
what
I've been trying.
They probably cost
no, it's like $1,500 or something.
Well, American companies make good drones. It's just that they're not doing it as much as the Chinese are. The Chinese are 80. I can't remember the statistic.
They made consumer drones, but also, there's very.
Where do you draw the line between consumer and commercial, though?
Right. Yeah. That's what police departments are going to be.
What is that? Is that a consumer or?
That would be like a prosumer, I think.
Oh yeah. So Kill Chain, basically, the book outlined that there's the thing is there's been other books like that, but the point is it kind of articulated the problem really well, which is basically we are falling behind on all kinds of things, but really software warfare, if you will. When the military is afraid to use Wi-Fi, you're not going to be exactly innovative and cutting edge on leveraging Wi-Fi and other software. That's basically the problem the book articulates. Yeah. But then and we read this book 4 weeks ago. I read it, I listened to it, Audible. But then 2 days later, the Pentagon has that briefing where they basically say, all right, gloves are off. AI is what we're doing. We're basically going to, invest a lot of money like we did in the 70s, 60s, into AI. I'm what do they mean by AI? I think they mostly mean automation, basically, but things that we do. But then, another week later, the announcement comes in that we're pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. And to me, that just seems look, they're kind of lining things up. You can kind of tell that the focus is shifting to this new type of digital, I don't want to call it warfare, but I don't know, there's a better euphemism for it, but basically defense, whatever.
We put a lot of hardware on the ground, and it's not, in a lot of cases, it's not really, that was one of the things, when I deployed, in Kuwait, was how much shit was there, just physical stuff,
it's
pipeline. It was just like a shipping
yard. Are you
yard.
talking about just the fact that they moved all that stuff there?
Right,
because that is insane. Oh my God.
Logistics
is it blew my mind.
Just how much shit was just piled up. Literally.
It is really impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive. That's the whole problem, the logistics of doing all that. But to what end, is all that? What are you trying to achieve? You're trying to achieve security for the United States. What is that? Can you achieve that? I think that China's probably, or, other nations.
Iran attacked us with drones, didn't they? A few years, held back.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of SBR and STTR solicitations, which is basically the government's way of saying, hey, we need this developed as quickly as possible. We prefer to have a small business do it. It's a pretty cool program. They had 7 solicitations out for we need drone defense. Right now, this is a year ago.
Yeah.
So
why aren't they calling in the F-35 to shoot the drone out? Why? This is you have you're trying to get. Tactically, it doesn't necessarily make sense to do that, but where you have all this equipment that requires a lot of logistics to support, and you're just opening yourself up. You're spending a bunch of money.
Wait, who's you? You're the Department of Defense here? Or?
Yeah, we're the United States spends a bunch of money to put a bunch of shit in these different countries and stuff. And
are you including the bases we have?
Yeah,
230.
I mean, there's some.
But yeah, we have a lot of logistical problems to solve, but the U.S. is pretty good about logistics.
Yeah,
I can't complain about it. I was very impressed by the logistics I saw.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, to get all that shit there.
Especially the Air Force. I was in the Marine Corps logistics, but like everybody always spoke of the Air Force logistics like it's basically the gold standard. I don't know what they do over there, but apparently they don't lose stuff as much as the Marine Corps does. So anyway, Kill Chain. So the book came out, and all these things started happening with basically, not all these things, like 3 events. And the thing is, it was also, like, reading this book was almost frustrating because all of it was like, well, yeah, no shit. Yeah, like it was like, to me, like I kind of like almost went back in time. I was like, holy crap, like I forgot about all these problems that exist, ranging from procurement to just R&D to just giving a small business who's got a viable product some money to wrap it up, or just take over the development for them.
Yeah,
we would have gladly like we weren't trying to make definitely we're always looking to make money, but like wearable antenna was like a legitimate product that the war fighter needed.
Yeah, how many of those I made like for and gave away? I mean. Like to people that just like asked me for them. I asked for feedback and like exchange for it.
I mean, we ended up selling. I think we sold like how many? Like 100?
Maybe more than that. Like, not many.
I mean, we end up having some sales, and like, but just like any product, you just need more R&D to make it good. And like, these were things that like people are putting like they're out there in danger. So like we really wanted to make these things be perfect, basically, and.
Yeah,
we didn't have the money to do that.
I mean, there's a lot of disadvantages in putting an antenna around a body, but the primary thing, and it's very difficult to outperform an antenna that's operating in an open space. Well, but it's been a good option for people.
Let's explain the problem. So
the
problem is, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So the problem is you're wearing a bunch of shit. You're
a warfighter. You're an operator.
Yeah, you're wearing a tactical. Everybody's seen all the tactical vests and everything like that. So the radios come with 2 antennas. One of them is a little short one. It's about 12 inches long. The other one is about 3 feet long. And what everybody does is roll it up and they tuck it away somewhere. And the problem with that is is it basically reflects it does not efficiently radiate the energy out. And so it reflects the energy back into the radio. And so this was the PRC 148 or the Inviter, we call it Inviters. And they would die all the time.
The iPhone had the same problem. I remember when we were doing this, the iPhone came out and like they basically had to release like a antennas. Case or something.
Yeah. It's called a signal wave ratio. So if it's reflecting back into the radio, it's damaging the radio, and it's also not transmitting out. So we had very poor performance. But not minus the performance aspect of it, it was also get snagged on it. So when I got there, we were a lot of people were just taking wire and weaving through their vest, and so the guys asked me to make it. I was a radio tech, so guys asked me to make that for them. So I would just take some wire and hook it up to the radio, and they're like, "It's awesome," and so I made tons of them.
Yeah, You're known for that. When I got to 2nd Reconnaissance Battalion, this guy was basically a tech at 2nd Recon, which at the time was before MARSOC. So like, there's different tiers of special operations in the military, and at the time, 2nd Reconnaissance was like the Marine Corps' kind of a premier. Was a special operation capable. And MARSOC got stood up, and they became a lot more elite and took a bunch of people. But anyway, so this is what that matters, because it's a unit that's more innovative and has a lot more flexibility than the average unit. Like we're basically
a small unit.
We're in a small unit.
Like
we had oh my god, we had basically had unlimited money to buy things, especially when you deployed. Anyway, so here's Bob making these antennas that are basically weaving through body armor. Because, well, the alternative is you basically have a borderline non-functional antenna, because you have to fold it down because you're getting in and out of vehicles. That's the way.
Yeah, they get snagged on stuff. Actually, one of my comm chief I had when I was first there, he was only there for a little bit, and he's like, I was telling him about it, or what I was doing, and he's like, oh man, yeah, like on my first gunfight, like went to the door, and the doors all had like rebar hanging out, and it snagged and like dropped him on his ass, and it ripped the antenna off. And
and the
so they had to.
Was it?
Yeah, so like it hung up there, like he was going through a door, ripped his antenna off, and he was like having to be like the only person with an antenna or with the radio. and they had to like call in. They had a CASEVAC or casualty, like they had to evacuate somebody. They had to use like smoke signals and shit like that.
So those Vietnam era guidebooks have there's a reason behind them. When the technology stops working, you can.
Yeah, and there was also people. It's obviously if you're a sniper or somebody too, you're going to take out whoever has the radio because they're the ones that can call for support. And a big identifier in it is them having an antenna sticking up out of
Enemy at the Gates scene is like traumatizing for me. When that poor guy is the wire man crawling, and it's like I was like, man, that sucks. Yeah. He was like doing a good job. He was crawling, but just dead.
Boom.
Yep. Yeah. So you don't want to be carrying a whip antenna if you can avoid it. So Bob's idea was okay. We've been weaving this thing through the vest. Well, I don't know what came first. Let's commercialize it, or let's just do it right. But I remember we were in Fallujah, and we're like, we should incorporate. Yeah. And I was like, actually, fun fact, I incorporated wearable antenna technologies while in Fallujah, Iraq. Yeah. So anybody who says it's too hard to start a business is like full of crap because we were literally in Fallujah, and like I used like incorporate.com or something like that. It wasn't the first time I did it, granted, but like we basically had a Delaware corporation, and we're like, all right, fuck it, let's make antennas.
And we built our first prototypes and everything.
And it went far. Actually, on Wikipedia, there's still a page for the tactical vest antenna system with a picture of it that basically describes what we did from back in the day. We did some innovative Wikipedia marketing, but
Andy,
it was basically it's really cool. It's like it would fit, it would slide seamlessly over your body armor.
Yeah, it would conform to the SAPI plate or the. I mean, so one of the problems with that, well, actually, what ended up being the primary problem with it was that not as the nylon that the vest is made out of. So we were on our second generation of them.
Wait, nylon vest? What are you talking about? The
material that the vest is made out of basically acts. I don't think it wasn't on all nylons, but there's something called a dielectric property, where simply put, like light is an electromagnetic wave. So light transmits through glass, right? But it also, at lower frequencies, glass is a great insulator. And so that's a dielectric property. So things at different frequencies behave differently.
I'm nodding my head, but I really don't know what that is. But it sounds
dielectric
like you
property.
thought
it basically acted like a metal at like some key frequencies that we were trying to do. And then it would drop off and it'd be fine. But
so certain frequencies basically. So what you're saying is there's if you wrap a body, an antenna, not wrap. By the way, a lot of people were really worried about the antenna, like giving them cancer or something like that. Yeah. So that was like a huge thing we dealt with. Like it was the first question we got. Like it's gonna burn me alive, but like
specific absorption rate. And IEEE standard. I don't know if it's like 19. I forgot.
Basically, I think the way you said it is like you have to be dragging around it like a car battery with you to have enough power to actually have like a chance of it actually.
Yeah, 5 watts, and it was so interesting reading all those reports, because they did a bunch of research on it, and like one of them was to test. They had these guys sit in front of these huge horn like antennas, and guys like from the Air Force and stuff, like active duty dudes.
Was this like the 70s?
Oh yeah, like or like
when things were innovative.
That. And so basically, what it does is it's going to heat, it's going to warm, and it has a penetrating depth based on frequency, because everything's based on frequency. So at lower frequencies, you're just going to pass through your body, and you're not going to feel anything. The higher the frequency goes, which you can actually see if you look at your hand, the penetration depths of light is about 3 centimeters, 2 to 3 centimeters, because you can see through your skin. And the lower the frequency goes, the deeper it's going to go. So at 2.4 gigahertz, I think the penetration depth is about 6 centimeters or so.
Well, hold on, this thing was over the body armor, right? So
you had boron carbide.
Anyway,
that would block it.
Let's move past wearable antenna. So that was like a
Okay.
We haven't this is good because like we can send this video to like everybody who basically like everybody was like rooting for us, like everybody in the unit. Like
they looked really
the chain of command was all for us. Like when I checked out of the unit, the sergeant major is like, "Well, good luck with those antennas." I'm like, "Holy crap! I didn't know you knew who I was." Yeah. So we got like a lot of support. It was great, but then we just basically kind of companies die slow and sadly. But now we can send this video and explain to people what it was. We ran out of money back then, so now we're back at it.